previously on Supa-Saturday's Draw Along.
That's why I love to draw, and I wanna create Supa-Saturday, 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 draw along.
Previously on Late Night Art Attack.
Keep those pencils light. Hey, was my mic? I think my mic was muted all that time. What the? I think my mic was muted for the whole beginning of the show. No one's got me a note. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I can see my mic reading is there. So sorry, ladies and gentlemen. My God. You would think I'd be getting better at this, wouldn't you? So what was I been talking about? Okay, what I was going to do, I was going to ink this, but then I remembered this is Saturday draw along, not just a draw stream. So I have to do something from scratch. So here I'm just making a blank canvas. There. And of course I ran earlier. I see a few of you in here already. I played a recap of what I did on Late Night Art Attack. That was at 1 a.m. Eastern time for you guys earlier, very early this morning, very early Saturday morning, late Friday night. And because I'm in Singapore, there's a huge time difference. And while you were watching that, it was actually, if you tuned in at 1 a.m. Eastern, it was actually about, it was 2 p.m. in the afternoon here. That was after my art class. There we go. Let's have a look. Have I got my texture? I'm using Clip Studio Paint. Yeah, that looks nice. And let me just make myself smaller. You don't want to see me. Well, you might want to see me, but you want to see this more. That's better. How about that? So what should we draw today? So we've done hands and feet. We've done some full-length figures. What we haven't done is a semi-action pose for a guy. So pencils and stylus at the ready. I'm going to draw this vertically. Portrait. I can see I've got a few people watching. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I started the beginning of the show with my mic muted. How embarrassing. So let's get to this. So we're going to do an action pose with a little bit of foreshortening. And I always start with a skeleton, right? We go through the process. So the first thing you want to do is the number one bone in the body. It's the spine. So the first thing we can do is we can put some movement in the spine. So with a curved spine, you know there's something already going on that's going to be action-packed. Now to establish that we're foreshortening, these are the hips. If you curve that, you're already giving an intention that we're looking down on his lower body. So then here comes the decision now on what we're going to do with his legs. His legs could be going in either direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put his front thigh coming this way. Now remember, you've got to be careful of using this technique, be careful of making the spine too long. The spine is generally the same length as the upper leg. But because he's foreshortened, his body's coming towards us. That's going to, in effect, make the spine shorter. So we put a node there for one hip, a node here for another hip. And to keep us on track, we put in what I call the underpants. We've got that leg coming in here. I'm going to put the front leg, lower leg here, and then the foot is going to be poking that way. Here's the back leg. We're going to have that coming down. And now foreshortening this back leg. So I'm going to curve that lower leg. This is the knee. This is the knee. And remember, keep those pencils light. Especially if you're sketching traditionally on normal paper. Now I'm having to keep this a bit dark so you can definitely see what I'm doing. So here, I always put in a basic shape for a foot at the skeleton stage. Very roughly. We've got this foot touching down here. And remember, we call these rounded triangles and rounded shapes. Very rough shape. We could change a lot of this later on. Now I'm going to curve. This leg is front. So remember opposites. If this leg is going forward, we want the other leg to be going, we want the opposing arm to be coming forward. The arm is coming down here, and this other arm is going to be behind. So with the body leaning forward, put the shoulder here. There's going to be an elbow here. There's going to be a wrist here. And again, I always put in just a very basic shape for the hands. I'm going to bring that shoulder in slightly. This is the upper arm. Elbow will be there. And that brings the lower arm in a bit more. Wrist, and then we put a basic shape here for where I'm going to make that a fist later on. So this is what I call kind of like a passive action pose. So how low is his head? The lower the head, the more aggressive he's going to appear. So I'm going to put the head quite low on the body. Now I do try to keep these shows as organic as possible. So I don't like to plan ahead too much of what I'm going to draw, because when you do that, it's not as spontaneous. You know, sometimes for example, at a Comic Con, someone might come up to you and ask you to draw a character. Of course, there's no planning involved. If a person wants you to draw, I don't know, Loki or the Scarlet Witch, right there in the con at the time, you know, there's no planning. So I mean, I could do a lot of planning here to make things easier for myself, but I I kind of feel that's cheating. I just want to do it on the fly. As I look at that leg, I want to bring the hip in slightly. I'm going to bring that hip in slightly. You see what I did there? Okay, let me do that again. I selected the upper leg, and there's a pivot point that always appears in a marquee when you select an area. I'm using Clip Studio Paint, yeah? So if you're drawing digitally, move the pivot to where you want to move it from, which is the knee, and then you can adjust the upper leg from there using the pivot point. Good. So we got this character kind of walking towards us in a kind of menacing, what I call like a menacing action pose of him walking towards us. So that's what I call the skeleton. So I always name that layer SK. And in fact, I'm saving. Yes, of course. How can I possibly forget? Remember this? Save! Don't forget to save. Just this morning, I had a student. She saved her work somewhere, and she had no idea where she saved the assignment. She found it in the end, but it's very important to remember where you save your work. So here we are. We're the Manny's Entertainment Group. Stream. Supa-Saturdays. These are the trailers. And you see here, actually, it says, so I've got another folder here. It says time lapses. I'm going to call this action pose. Walking action pose. It's not a sprawling one. Walking action pose. And what did I forget to do? What I forgot to do was set the time lapse. Record time lapse. As I mentioned, I'm using Clip Studio Paint, very, very popular software. I see a lot of guys out there in the West using it as well now. And I've been demoing this it used to be called Clip Studio Paint. No, Comic Studio and Manga Studio. And I've been demoing this for quite some years out here in Singapore. It's a great software. And just to show you something quickly, I'm going to change my skeleton to red. Why am I doing that? Because I'm in the midst of writing an art book for Thunderzone Comics. And I can give you a quick preview of this because we got a Kickstarter coming up. My Supercross title is with Thunderzone Comics. And let me see if I've got... Let me see if I've got it here. That picture. I had it opened earlier. And I've got so many files open here. Let me have a look. Did I minimize it? Maybe I did. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to quickly show you a preview of the book that I'm working on. So here we are. And it is for Thunderzone. It's called the art book. And I'll put masters. And here's the master file. There it is. So you see here, in my art book, as we go through this walking action pose, stick it in here. What I do is, the book's going to be probably close to 200 pages by the time I'm finished. Well, what I generally do is, if I get one exercise here, okay, let's have a look at Officer Alloy, the worksheet for that. It's going to be kind of like a book that you can, it's a bit like this Supa-Saturday draw along. See, what I normally do is, I start with the skeletons in red. Then the next stage is the fleshing out. And with the fleshing out, we're going to do this now on this walking action pose. You make sure you know all your volumes and the direction they're traveling in. Then you get to your rough sketch, your detail, and then you sketch render. And this is in an early chapter before we get to lighting and hatching and shading. So that's what we're going to do now with our exercise. So move that over there. So back here, we're going to now do the fleshing out the volumes. So there's my SK layer. I'll make that red, the skeleton. And the next layer is FO for fleshing out. And I make this layer basic gray. What we do. I usually do it in blues. Okay, for the sake of today, let's make our fleshing out. No, we've got to stick with black because my center lines are blue, which we'll discuss in a moment. So we go for a normal pencil color, gray. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I can see a few of you out there watching. Thanks a lot for joining. We've got one comment here. Acres of Movies says hello. He's a rare regular. Hello, Acres of Movies. You're a Madness Entertainment Group faithful, we'll call you. Thanks for tuning in again. And I'm going to lock the skeletons layer from any accidents. So let's start to flesh this out. Okay, let's look at the volumes of the body. This leg is coming towards us. So let's make sure we know what's going on. I'm going to put in a shape to represent the leg. Of course, the more experience you get at drawing, you're not going to have to go through all these shapes, etc., etc. But I do know that when you're still learning anatomy and things can be a bit tough to work out, this is the nearest thing to almost like mathematically working something out. Now, your joints are always slim. So to demonstrate this, imagine the knee bone joint is there. The ankle is going to be slim. So we put in a slim ankle. Now we put in a cylinder to represent the lower leg. Again, knowledge of anatomy will determine how accurate these cylinders are that you draw. And there's no substitute for practice and just reading and looking at anatomical studies and just really, really leaving. Nothing can replace practice. The more you do something, practice makes perfect, the old adage. So we put in a rough volume there for a foot. If we keep the pencil light, you may want to change this stuff, something here later. So let's put in the back leg. So this leg is going backwards. So to make sure we have our trajectories in mind, we put this cylinder as if we're looking down on it. Whoops, so it's a little bit on the small side. Make it a bit wider here. Keep those pencils light. Now that knee is behind us. So we put in the bottom of the cylinder as being definitely going away from us. So there's a lower leg, another cylinder. Now there's a lot of movement. You can get a lot of movement in the human body. And these can be very subtle, but they can make a huge difference to how engaging your figure may be. Now, because this leg is also behind, it's actually smaller. Now, how much smaller exactly you make it? I don't know of an actual calculation that you can kind of put in that can help you gauge these ratios. You kind of got to look at it and get a feel for, does that look too small or does that look correct? Now with this one, as the leg goes backwards and you make the knee joint slimmer, that can help with your gauging of size. The more you do it, I remember once I did an aerial shot of a character. So the head was foreshortened and nearer to the camera. And I drew it way too large. And then art director pointed this out to me. And when I did it, I was very young. And I did that because of simply lack of experience. You know, I just couldn't gauge how big it should be. But the more you practice, the more you look at stuff, the better you get at gauging. Acres of movies. Just ask the question here. Do you like Megaforce? Again, I might be showing my age here. I'm not sure what Megaforce is. Is that an animation? I'm not familiar with that title. Of course, I thought you were asking, do I like Magnum Force? Now that's an old film franchise starring one of my favorite action movie stars, Clint Eastwood. That was part of the Dirty Harry series, I believe. Magnum Force. Now here, can you see the bend in the spine? This is the arm socket. And I want a curve in the spine. There. Don't worry, I'm going to do another dimensions study. Those contours, you may have saw that if you were here for a while, I showed you a page from my art book that's coming up. And there's contours that will help us gauge what it is that we're doing exactly.
What is going on here?
Hello?
Hello,
Is that
Jerry.
Pops?
It's me, Ozzy Claus. How are you doing today?
Ozzy Claus.
I spent all day at Grand Rapids Comic-Con promoting people, interviewing people, doing the things that Pops is too lazy to do.
Oh, excellent. What time? You're at the con now, are you?
No, I just came back home.
Oh, how was it? Was it any good?
All day. I chased Sharon all over the building. I had a great time. I saw Jack. I saw Kelly a whole bunch of times. There are so many girls that look like Kelly Osbourne. You will not believe it. I had a great time. I interviewed all kinds of people, new people. We got some cool people. You're going to see some clips come out tonight. I talked to Rhino from the AEW, from ECW. Had a sit-down interview with him. It was awesome. Talked to a whole bunch of comic creators, whole bunch of people. Dirk Manning picked up a certain book done by our boy Les Garner that I'm going to show him on Wednesday. I picked up a copy of Homestead book. It's good. It looks really, really good. I just wanted to let everybody know.
Busy, man.
I'll be dropping a lot of videos. I'll be dropping a lot of little clips, a lot of shorts tonight. So check them all out because we had a blast. I interviewed people in character as Ozzy, and it was great. And people loved it, and we had so much fun, dude. It was amazing. Sharon! It was amazing. Yo, you don't know what you missed. Go to Grand Rapids Comic-Con tomorrow. You'll love it. I promise.
Nice one. Well, tell you what, Pops, I did And for all you people out there watching, we've got a tribute book to Ozzy Osbourne currently available at Fund My Comic. We've got a quick trailer here that I did a quick re-edit so we can get Sharon's voice a bit louder. So let's have a quick look at that. Let me just kill my music. Let's have a look at the trailer for the Ozzy book we've got for sale.
Ozzy, what are you doing? Come and have a look at this lovely book that was sent over.
You're wrapping in the verdict.
Oh, go on and spit the bat out your mouth. No one can understand you like that.
Say how 5 dentists and all.
Oh, well, that's not much better. Ozzy, why don't you sing to me? I can always understand you when you sing to me.
Fucking my brains. What is this my publisher sent me? Inked in black with art so sweet.
So what do you think? Do you like it?
Oh, Lord, yeah.
I got stuff to show you. Jerry. Here's your book, bro.
Wow.
There's your book right there.
Were you selling it there, Pops?
I just opened it up. I just got a box today. This is yours. This one.
All right.
All right. It's gonna come to you in a little package that looks like this. Critical Blast. All right. I'm gonna box that up for you tonight. And got something else. Got something else to show you. Oh, come here. Oh, I ain't got no place to put stuff. We have this wonderful, beautiful wraparound cover that is available on the Fund My Comic right now. There it is. It's the wraparound cover. It's badass. This one you can only get on Fund My Comic, nowhere else. The wraparound. Now hold up. We also are going to have a con table edition. This is the only Ozzy Goodbye to Romance book you will see at the cons. This is a Les Garner cover. Yeah, Les Garner. This is the con edition. If you are wanting to buy some of these to put on your con table, we give you a great deal. You get to make money off them. We're trying to help everybody make money. That's what it is. So this is the con edition. But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
The artist edition with Edwin Badillo's Ozzy and Sharon cover. This is the artist edition for anybody that did art in this book. This is the one you get at a discount. You can go sell them, make some money. Because we're all about making money. Right?
Nice.
Hey, so 4 different covers, 2 of them exclusive to cons or actual people involved in the project, 1 of them exclusive to Fund My Comic, and the A cover that you can get everywhere. All right. So the options are becoming more and more as we do this. Things are getting bigger and better, and I'm really happy about it. Man, I got like this makeup in my eyes driving me crazy.
So
all day I tried
that,
not to rub my eyes, so I kept the glasses on all day so I wouldn't rub my eyes. But there you go, guys. All 4 covers. This is a Madness exclusive. This is the first time you've seen them. All right. It's the first time we've seen all 4 covers. They just got here today. These are my proofs. Man, I really like what everybody did with this. And had a great time today at the con, showing it off. You know, because I took the proof copy with me. I showed it to a few people. We had a good time talking about it. We met some new people in Source Point Press, people that work with Dirk, Josh Warner. We got some people that are going to be coming out to the network. Y'all might not have seen before, but they're definitely madness. All right, so be ready. Some new shows, new products, everything.
Nice. So where are you at the moment? Are you still in the hotel or are you back at home now?
I'm at home. Grand Rapids only an hour away.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, that's the only ones I can go to are the ones that are close, man. I do
Right.
want to say that next month on December 13th in Elkhart, Indiana, at the Hall of Heroes Museum, we will be covering a Toys for Tots event at the Hall of Heroes Museum. So if you've never been to the Hall of Heroes Museum in Northwest Indiana, you guys want to check it out. It's got all the shit, everything. Okay, there's so many like movie props, old badass comics, just everything, right? Everything you can think of. It's a museum. It's not a comic store. You know what I mean? It's
Wow.
everything's on display. It's awesome. You'll want to check it out December 13th, and we will be there. The madness will be there.
Nice one.
And also,
Cool.
also might have just found this like hot little spokesperson for the Goodbye to Romance book. Just saying.
So I just realized that I was a naughty boy. I continued with the exercise. So if anyone
That's
was following me,
I just stopped you from telling people what you're doing, not what you're doing. I just stopped
no,
you.
I forgot that I'm meant to be doing it step by step so people can follow me if they're following. So you can see I added an arm. Right. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to undo that. Let me go
I do
backwards.
have to apologize to Mr. Mike Barron because I forgot to let him know I wasn't going to be home this morning when it was time to tape his show.
I was shocked to hear your voice, man. I was thinking, who was that in here?
Say what?
When you came up just now, it was a shock to the system because I was thinking, who's that in here? Because I know you're busy at the con.
Well, it's almost 7 now, so you know. I mean,
Right.
I don't do the after party or I'll never get home.
Jeez.
You know, I like after party. I party after the party after the after party. But yeah, I want to thank Mark Hodges up there at Grand Rapids Comic Con for as always providing us a press pass and the freedom to go around and talk to people. Do you know that movie, that Megan movie, whatever it is?
Yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah, you know who Jenna Davis is?
No, is that
She's the voice of Megan.
right? Okay.
Yeah, we interviewed her today.
I thought that movie got a raw deal, man. Apparently, it wasn't that big a box office success, but I enjoyed watching it.
I didn't never look at it. I just know it was another creepy doll.
No, it was all right, man.
Doll, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I thought it was going to be typical, very typical, but I wouldn't say it's typical. It's a pretty decent movie.
Well, I approached her as Ozzy. I said, "Hi, have you ever been interviewed by a dead rock star before?"
Ozzy Claus.
Instant hook, right? They want the interview right away, right? I haven't even told her about the network, what we do, anything. But you know, after we did the interview, then I told her, I was like, "Now we do this, all kinds of stuff." Gave her the card, you know. Some of these people might be requesting to be on some of our shows in the future, right? The one that I messed up. I had Ernie Reyes Jr., right? And he
Right.
told me, come back later and we'll do the interview. And we forgot to go back to his booth. So I screwed up doing the interview with Ernie Reyes Jr., you know, Three Ninjas. You know,
Yeah.
I screwed that up. All 4 of the original Turtles were there. Bubba Ray Dudley was there, but Bubba Ray don't do no interviews. Bubba Ray didn't have anybody in his line either. I'm just saying. You got to be nice to the fans if you want the fans to buy your stuff, okay? I'm just saying. Rhino had people in the line in front of him, and the other wrestler that was supposed to be there actually broke his ankle the night before, like Thursday night at an indie event.
Jesus.
So he wasn't there, but yeah, you know, I had a really good time. I talked to Howard Chaykin.
Howard Chaykin.
Howard,
What?
yeah, Ozzy interviewed Howard Chaykin.
So how old is he?
Oh, I don't know. He's my age. I don't know. I don't ask people how old are you. Come on, dude. But yeah, he was there. We did an interview with him. We did an interview with Dirk Manning, which is going to come to you in 2 parts because my cameraman dropped his phone in the middle of the interview. I talked to a ton of people. I had a good time today. You guys will see it all later tonight. It'll be some work, but you'll all see it later tonight. Main thing I got to do is make sure I don't screw anything up. Get Christian's show ready to go. Stephen B's show ready to go. All that. So I'm gonna let you go handle my business. But if you're watching the YouTube channel tonight, guys, you will see all kinds of just hilarious fucking shit. I had a blast. That's it.
All right, cool, man. Cool, folks.
Thanks for good show last night. I don't know. I was sleeping. I didn't watch it. I was trying to sleep. I didn't watch it. But
It was me and Edwin all the way.
Yeah, that's that. As soon as I knew you had somebody with you, I just was like, I'm crashing because I had to get up. I had to get up early. But I was glad he came out. Thanks, Edwin. Appreciate you, bro. You have the rest. You still got a little time yet. Have some fun. I'll talk to you later, bro.
Cheers, man. Cheers, folks.
Right. Peace, everybody. Rock and roll.
So for those of you out there who've been following along, hopefully, we just added the arms, right? And let's put back on my background music. Okay, 1 year. It must be quite a few. Must be quite a few. So here we fleshed out the arms. And now we're just going to go for some very basic information regarding the head. So we've got the chin. And with the face down, we know the ears are going to raise up. So we can imagine the ears are going to be somewhere around here. His head is not at an angle. So it's a straight face. We put in a rough jawline. Quite pointed as his head is, as I say, pointing downwards. Now we're drawing through the object. We're not bothering about hairstyles at this moment in time. So there's our basic fleshing out. We got our fundamental shapes in place. So what I always urge my students to do at this point is to make sure you know where the center of things are and the volume. Now the center, I always depict with a light blue line. I'm going to change my pencil color to this. Again, if you're an experienced artist, you may not need to do this. But as you're learning, if you're getting confused and things are not looking right, it's often because you're drawing something and where you've placed the center of the object is probably not the right place. So I do this more to demonstrate the things that can go wrong. And quite often, we're all in this drawing journey together. And the things that go wrong, it's normally the same for all of us. So I remember the things that I would do that was wrong. And if someone had told me that when I was younger, I would have been a better artist faster. So look at this back leg, for example. It comes down and the knee is going to be here. We drew the skeleton here, but as we flesh out, we have the volume of the leg. So as we draw, remember the skeleton is not necessarily the center of the object. It's a structural aid. As we flesh things out, the center of the object is different. So from there, we then get a displacement, and in fact, the center of this leg, of the lower leg, is somewhere over here. It goes to the center here, and this is the center of the foot there. Don't worry, we're going to keep building this out. Now, if he's wearing a belt, the belt falls here. So the spine that we've kind of got can almost work as a center line here. But I'm going to barrel the chest a bit more. Then I'm going to bring the abs back in. Now look at his bicep. The center of his bicep is actually over here somewhere. And the center of his forearm is underneath there. If you drew to the object, it's on the underside now. The center of the back of his arm is here. Then the center of the back of the fist comes up from the center finger there. We're keeping on track the fundamental shapes and the volumes. The center of the volume of his body is somewhere there. The center of the bicep is under here. We'll see it there, and then it goes out of view. The center of that fist is under there. The center of this face is right here, right down the center. So we can put a straight line there. So I call that CL, center line. Next comes the volume. And I put my volumes, I call this dimensions, DM, right? Dimensions of volume. This tells us where the side of something is. So in this instance, let's get a purple pencil. The side of the body is here. The front. Now you know there's a collarbone. Something like this. This is the volume of the front of his torso. The side of his arm is somewhere here. And the side of that forearm, somewhere there. And the top of that fist is there. We could have put the center of each finger in, but I don't think we need that much detail. Here, this is the side of the arm, as is this part here. That's the side of the arm. And that's the fist going down there. Now looking at the thigh, this is the inner side of the thigh. It's the inside thigh. And in here, we can slightly see this side part of the lower leg. This gives us our 3D dimension. For those of you who maybe, do 3D modeling, of course, you work with a mesh. And this is just basically aspects of that. So here's the foot. That gives us the volume of the foot. Now here, this leg is interesting because it kind of twists. We can see the inside thigh, then it goes away from us. Same here, just the inside of the calf we can maybe see. Outer calf slightly, and that foot is quite 90 degrees on. Maybe you can see just a little bit at the front, but not much volume to show there. With the hips area, see the body's rotated. So this side part in the hips is going away from us. Good. Now what I didn't do was the center line for this part here. what I call the underpants. Good. So with the face, very roughly, I like to designate that the top of the head can be somewhere here. And the sides of the face can be somewhere here. We're going to get into defining this a little bit more later. And something that I don't always do is the top of the head. I do it on this occasion. Sometimes I do it is I put in, with my center line, I put in the eye line. So this is where I see the eyes are going to fall. I see the nose is going to fall here. And the center of the mouth is going to be there. That's the angle that I'm going to pick up, roughly speaking. And if you go to your dimensions here, you can fine tune them to this, right? What I mean by that is, generally speaking, your eyes are in a socket. So they go in, and then the cheeks will come out. So you can do this kind of thing to give yourself a little bit more of a feel of where your facial planes are going to fall. So next comes the contours. I call them contours CT. How are we doing for time? Oh yes, we still got over half an hour left. We're building this character up nicely. And I do my contours in orange. So I try to put roughly 3 in each area. So when we look at this thigh, to really make sure we understand what we're drawing, I often do this with students, and you'll see that the severity of the contours increases as the shape is going away from us. Then here, put in the mid contour first. In one either side. Good. Now with the feet, look at this. Just here, it's coming downwards. It's coming down the back, but now it's changing trajectory because the foot is coming towards us. This is the tricky one. Now I like to make sure the students understand the volume of what is exactly going on. You must excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I keep forgetting to zoom in. I'm working on a large 24-inch Cintiq, so I can draw from very far distances and still be able to see what's going on, which is, it's okay for me, but it's boring for anyone watching what I'm doing. And I have a habit of forgetting to zoom in. So I'm going to try to zoom in a bit more. So here we are. We're going to do the other thigh. Good. One above and one below. Another one down here now, lower leg. It's foreshortened, so this curve quite severe. And this foot, now look at this. This is going away from us here. But I showed a bit of the tip. So you could say that by this point, it flattens out. And you could maybe want to draw this foot now. The bottom part, the toes are raised. So maybe the bottom of that foot is now slightly coming towards us. you have to decide things like that at this point. You understand that? Going down and now it's coming towards us. There will be a crease in the shoe there, for example. Now let's go to the underpants area, and this is going away from us. I put just one contour in that area. Now we come to the volume of the body. This is very important. So his body is quite heavily foreshortened. So I put one in the center. Notice the swing in the body. His other shoulder is raised, so that's now going up. One from the arm up to the other armpit. Good. And then going over the shoulder. Contours going over the shoulder. Hold on, my computer is backing up. See that? System recovery. A Clip Studio Paint, it does momentary saving like that. So you can actually find old versions of your work in the system folder. If your computer crashes or you have a nasty accident or something, it's quite often possible to recover previous versions of your work. This arm is coming towards us. Foreshortened. Now we're just drawing a kind of an action figure. This character has no name. So I'm not really sure. We're not really sure who we're drawing. We're just drawing a action character. Contours across the back of the arm. Now with the thumb, we have that traveling towards us, and then the bottom part travels from us. The fingers, these are facing downwards, away from us. Other arm, foreshortened, going away from us. We put these contours in. And lower arm. Yee. That's not sketching. That was rendering. I did not build that shape up at all. Good. Then we've got the fist traveling away from us. This is traveling over. This traveling under and away. Now the face. Contours at the side. The face is coming downwards. We've already established this. And then from the head, still coming down, but as it goes towards the back, then the trajectory starts to change as it goes over the ball of the head. Okay, so we pretty much got our construction happening. So now next is something called the detail, where we start to put things in. Now, as I mentioned, well, hopefully you've kept your pencils nice and light. I'm looking at the thigh here, and I want to make one very small adjustment, okay? If you're following me at home, check your thigh here. I give it time to adjust it. I want it to come in just a little bit more, like that. Because I couldn't see the hip behind enough. That tells me that something is not right. See, here's one hip over here. Here's the other hip. We should see a remnant of that there. Okay, so there is our character. So now with the detail, this is where you will really exaggerate if he has very large muscles. The clothing, you can go straight to the clothing design. So I'm just trying to think now how we should make this character look and the hairstyle, etc., etc. So the first thing we're going to do is, let's just flesh it out with no clothes on. So what I'll do here is, I get all my layers, I make them lighter. I really keep that pencil light. So now we get the detail, DT. And DT can take on many different, many different stages, depending on how much you need to build your character up. So here, I'm going to look at the chest area first. Now his head is down into his shoulders. So his collarbone, as I said earlier, could be somewhere around here. And same here. Look at the barrel chest, which means that the chest muscle is going to be somewhere here. Now, am I happy with his collarbone? You know what? I think his collarbone should be a bit lower. Again, this comes into knowledge of anatomy. His collarbone should have been lower. There, that looks more correct to me. And the center of the chest on that center line. So this is going to come up here. Here's the other chest muscle going over and away from us. Now, of course, I'm a superhero kind of guy. Of course, this guy is going to be ripped. Yep. Loads of muscles and all the rest of it. Now his lats will come down. And his shoulder muscle. Somewhere here. Now it's coming down to the tricep that's just behind here. There's that bicep in there. I'm not going to make him too jacked. I'm going to kind of pretty much stick with what we've fleshed out. Get that dip in the wrist. Let's put a bit of feeling in those fingers. Okay, so then tricep is behind there. Then as the bicep comes in, we get the sinews down the back of the forearm. Let's look. You draw through the object. The shoulder must come around and continue down the other side. There's his upper shoulder. His lats. And this, you know, the chest muscle leads to this shoulder muscle, you can say, which goes over towards the tricep. Can't quite see the elbow. That bicep then comes in to the forearm. Because of the foreshortening here, these things are really biting in to this view. That's going to cross over here. I need to put that dip in the fist. Lower forearm here. So as that thumb goes down, now what I like to do is I like to raise my index fingers. Knuckle, and then you just see that thumb poking out underneath. And these other fingers are more tucked in. With this raised finger, I find it kind of gives across more of a powerful feel to that fist. So now we're coming under the armpit. So that body's going to come across here. And this is where the real foreshortening happens. So I'm going to build up just a bit more volume here. As that part comes down, the rest of his torso is actually going to be almost hidden behind, you could say. Here, the rib cage comes out, then it's going to tuck in slightly. So let's get the rib cage in. The rib cage is here. There. Remember, the center of the body, okay, the abs. Now, something very, very important that I want to demonstrate here. As you put the six-pack in, see, it's got to stay on trajectory with the center line. There's a twist in the body. You've got to make sure you keep that. And then as it comes up to the ribs area, you got to make sure that you keep the stomach muscles down. Let me demonstrate that. You got to make sure you keep the stomach muscles down and then come up, because you must demonstrate the volume of the body. Yep, it's very easy. If you get things like that wrong, the body can become very flat looking. Good. And that body is in front of that part of his hip over there. So I'm going to exaggerate the foreshortening here even a bit more. Good. Now we get the inner leg. As I say, look at the center here. So I'm going to put the knee there. Now the thing with superhero comics, right? Artists, we all have our own styles, yeah? And I'm not using an anatomical reference here. So are my anatomies here going to be 100% correct? Definitely not. But because I'm old school, it's the interpretations of bodies that I like from my comic artists. So long as it's not so incorrect that it looks really, really bad. But if you want it to be absolutely 100% photorealistic, you of course have to use references. No, should I draw him with no shoe? No, I'll just draw some basic footwear. I put a few creases here on the ankle area. I'm going to put a crease here. Let's see what we've got so far. Okay, good. So now we come down to this side. The knee is here. So I was saying, you know, how you choose to draw knees, etc., etc. There's reality and there's your interpretation of it. And of course, different people have different anatomical shapes as well. This thing is called the knee biscuit. And how exactly it's shaped, it's kind of universal, of course, on human beings. But depending on a person, a person might have knobbly knees. You may have heard that term before. So it's not definite how someone's knees are going to look. My favorite artist, comic artist of all time, I've got a lot of favorite comic artists, but the one that really, I think, affected me the most overall was a guy called Gil Kane. And the way he drew knees, to me, was absolute perfection. Now, I prefer the rounded foot. I was undecided earlier, should I give him pointed shoes or rounded shoes? And I prefer the front foot. I'll go back and change the back foot. Put the calf muscle. There's a few creases here. There's a crease in the shoe here. You put a sole on the boot or the shoe, what it turns out to be. You've got an instep here. Okay, so let's see what we got. Okay, so our character's walking towards us. He looks like quite a mysterious person. He could be a bad guy, for all we know. And now we get to the face. How are we doing for time? Yeah, still got 15 minutes left. So let's put in a basic face, shall we? So let's refine the face shape. So here's the jaw. Strong jawline. Face is pointing down. So pointed chin. Side of the head, the ear cuts in. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to draw through the object. We'll put the hairstyle on at the end. The earlobe, inner ear cleft, and as the ear bites into the head, the skull comes from beyond. Looking on the skull. So to keep things clear, we can switch off the skeleton there. So we just got a template for the face. So nose, let's be looking down on him. There's a nose bridge, and we can see the nose is distinctly pointing downwards. Now eyes, we've got the eye socket here. So we're going to make him somewhat menacing. So the eyes won't be too wide open. Since moving to Asia, my art style definitely changed, you could say, in that the eyes on my characters, in that kind of typical manga style, generally speaking, the eyes on my characters have become bigger. We give them quite thick eyebrows that are literally sit on the eyes from this angle. Now you can see here, I've kind of, eyebrows should be reaching the pinnacles of the side of the head here. So I'm going to if his eyebrows get to the side of the head here, I'm going to make his eyes even larger. Make sure they're equidistant from that center line, very important. quite menacing. We keep the eyes in the top half of the eye socket. Hold on, my CRoM is backing up. And something quite funny is when you want a character to look quite serious, you keep the pupils towards the inside of the inner eye. You've got to be careful not to overdo it, or they can become boss-like if you like. But for some reason, it does make them look more menacing, you could say. It's going to thicken up the eyebrow. Now, you can see from the look on his chin that his mouth is closed. So from this angle, the upper lip becomes very, very, very slim. And the lower lip becomes much more visible. Then the jawline coming in. Skull shape. Okay, let's think of a hairstyle now. Now you see the eyebrow here. Sideburns go parallel to the lean of the eyebrow. We know the hairline is somewhere here. We give him quite a conservative hairstyle. I mean, shortish hair. Can with maybe a slight quiff at the front, maybe a slight side parting over here, and the sides of his hair is quite short. There we are. Okay. Now with the neck, we should see, you got powerful neck, we can see maybe just a little bit of that poking out from here. Bring the sideburns down a little bit more. Save. Good. So we've got the basic look of our guy. Let me just finish putting his shoulder muscles here. You see the lines coming down towards his throat area. His head is quite twisted. His body's rotated. And we put neck back there. Okay, so here's our guy with no costume. Just putting a few more abs here. Save. Good. And the last thing we're going to do, let's just decide on how his hair travels. Like from here, maybe it travels backwards, up, and back. And here, it travels upwards, and maybe his hairstyle kind of goes back. So it's a bit slicked backwards. You know, deciding on the direction someone's hair goes is quite important. This will decipher if whether or not any bits of hair will be sticking up in any given direction. And I'm going to save. Okay, so we can switch off the construction. Okay, here's our form of our guy with no costume as such yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go away. We're going to come back next week and we're going to put a costume on him. And I might turn him in to a character I've got called the B-Boy. But this could be him when he's a man. Good. I hope some of you were able to draw along with me. So let's have a quick recap of what we did, how we constructed our hero gentleman here. We started with a skeleton. Let me turn the opacity up on all of these first of all. Right? Okay, let's see what we did. We started with a skeleton. Then we fleshed out the basic cylinders and the volumes. Then we were sure to find the center of everything, so we know exactly the shapes that we're dealing with. We then made sure we knew where the sides or the dimensions, that's why I call my layer DM. You can maybe see that there in the purple layer. DM, we make sure we understand the dimensions, and then the contours, make sure we know which parts of the body are traveling and in what direction. So with all that information, we then try to finish the anatomy. So we ended up with this. Now let's finish these off, which is this. So all of this is called drawing through the object. So I hope you had some fun with this. I'm going to play a couple of trailers before the end of the show, and I'll see you back here again next week at the same time. What is it again? It is 6 p.m. your time, but 7 a.m. my time. Thanks a lot for tuning. I can see we've got quite a few people watching. That's always really good. I could actually sit here all day talking to you guys and drawing something and talking through the whole process, but unfortunately that is not to be. So thanks a lot for dropping by. As always, whoops, I'm trying to find my mouse so I can indeed sign out. Yep, thanks again for tuning in to Supa-Saturday's Draw Along. My name is Jerry Hinds. There's a Kickstarter coming up, which I'll be telling you all about next week. And I'm going to play a couple of trailers here for a book that I have on sale at the moment called Magaman. That's on sale at Fund My Comic, along with a tribute book to Ozzy Osbourne, where all of us artists here at the Madness Entertainment Group, we all submitted to. So it's a great art book. So make sure you get over to fundmycomic.com and look for both books. And I'm going to run you a couple of trailers here now for each one, and then the end credits. And I'll see you again next week. Peace.
Ozzy, what are you doing? Come and have a look at this lovely book that was sent over.
You're rapping in the perpendicular.
Oh, go on and spit the bat out your mouth. No one can understand you like that.
Say how 5 dentists and all.
Oh, well, that's not much better. Ozzy, why don't you sing to me? I can always understand you when you sing to me.
Fucking my brains. What is this my publisher sent me? Inked in black with art so sweet.
So what do you think? Do you like it?
Oh, Lord, yeah.
If you like stories about truth, honor, and justice, then you should check out MAGA Man. It is Donald Trump as many now see him, the defender of justice and a warrior for peace through strength. MAGA Man is an all-American style 22-page comic book, so get over to fundmycomic.com and support the culture of truth, honor, and justice. With MAGA Man, the most needed hero of all. MAGA Man.
The live viewing of any Madness Entertainment Group production, you can find all our content on Roku or as a member of this channel. We'll see you next time on the Madness Entertainment